Welcome to Widowed Too Soon, where real-life widows and widowers come together to share their stories of survival, faith, and the journey of finding hope in the darkest of times. Whether you're newly widowed or have been on this journey for some time, each week we're here to provide you with inspiration, practical advice, and the reassurance that you are not alone. You were made to not only survive, but thrive. And now here's your host, a woman who has walked this path herself, who finds solace in writing, joy in speaking, and freedom in dancing like nobody's watching. Michelle Bader Ebersole.
Welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader Ebersole. I am very excited to be back again with another guest interview, and we'll get to that in just a minute. It's a little bit different than our other guest interviews, but I know that you're going to get a lot of value from this. Just a few announcements. We have open registration for our Widows Retreat, Dallas, Texas, January 22nd through 25th. Sorry, men, this one is only for the women. It is a faith-based retreat where we will be doing breakout sessions, worship. There's even zip lining. We're going to end the last night with line dancing. It's going to be super fun. The theme is mourning to dancing because we'll be doing both of those while we're there. And there's all of the information in the show notes. It's not too late to sign up. We would love to have you there. It's going to be a great time. But with that, you know what? I'm ready to get into this episode. So today I'm sitting down with my new friend, Lalonna West. How are you today, Lalonna?
Hi, Michelle. I am absolutely wonderful today. How are you?
I'm good. So you're joining us from somewhere in Texas. Is that correct?
That's correct. I am in Paris, Texas.
Oh, Paris. That's awesome. What is that near? Like I went to school in East Texas. I went to LeTourneau University in Longview, but I don't think that's near Paris, is it?
Not so much near. So we are like an hour and 45 minutes from Dallas, but
Okay.
to Oklahoma. So I'm 30 minutes from the.
Oh. Okay, got it. Okay, yes, I like Texas because that's actually where I met my current husband, Joel. We went to college together at LeTourneau and then reconnected years later, and that's where we got engaged. So, Texas has a special place in my heart. I live in Washington. Anyways, well, I'm really excited to hear your story. You are not widowed, but you have an amazing message that I knew our listeners needed to hear because you have embraced being solo and saved. Just the title of your book, Solo and Saved, I was like, I'm sold. I want to hear all about what she has to say. Like this sounds amazing. So we'll just get started with tell us a little bit about your story and how you ended up, writing a book called Solo and Saved, and what's that about?
My book is about my journey of stepping out of a marriage for 25 years. I was married for
Oh,
25 years.
wow.
Then I stepped out and I became solo. And God put it on my heart to share my journey, to just give others support and encouragement of how He is with you
Mm-hmm.
all the time. He's going to be with you the whole way, even when you don't recognize it, because there is a lot of grief
Yes.
involved. There's mourning involved. But taking that step, and when I became a solo, I really embraced that because I was by myself, and
Yeah.
I I left to find peace. I did not
Mm-hmm.
have peace where I was, and even though I made the decision to leave, I had to let go of a lot of things that were comfortable, but
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily serving me anymore. So when you can recognize, like, the past is not serving me anymore, so what do I need to do right now in my present time? And how do I become the woman that God wants me to be?
Mm-hmm.
So through my journey, I had to own a lot of my decisions and own the life that I'm living right now, and it is solo. I have dated some, but
Mm-hmm.
currently I'm in a season. I like to reflect a lot, and I like to see where I'm going and growing
Yeah.
professionally and personally. And so in this season right now, I am not dating. I've made it
Mhm.
choice to just work on me and become a better version of me, because I do know what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to receive that, God has laid on my heart to work on myself.
Yes. Yeah, that's something we've talked about on the podcast before, especially when my co-host Mark was here. We would talk, he would say it a lot about like in the in between time, be the best that you can be. Like work on your same things you're saying, like work on yourself so that when that person does come, you are the best version of you that you can be, you know? And I think it's also like about being content, right? Do you feel like it's
Yeah,
like finding peace and contentment in being single?
absolutely. I actually wrote down on some of my notes that singleness is a gift. And if you
Mm,
for the qualities of being single, you will find this gift. But you have to recognize it and appreciate it. Sometimes it's not what you want. I mean, there are times when I'm like, I wish I had a partner. I wish I
mhm.
could go do this event with a partner, and I don't have that right now. But one day I will. And until that time comes, I'm going to be the best version of me. And be a role model for other women to recognize, and other men to recognize, that it's so important for you to love yourself first.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Like we need to be whole. So I like people to know, and a lot of my listeners were here along the journey, that I felt like I was in a place that I was healed. I mean, we always still have things that we can work on, but like whole without Joel before he, my second husband, before he came into my life, that God had already brought me to this place of peace and this place of healing, because it doesn't work if two broken people come together. I mean, it can, but it'll be really hard. And so it's better to do what you're doing and become the best version of yourself for when that person does come into your life. Like, so tell me about what led you to writing this book, and more specifically, like I know the title, but what is it about?
The title came to me many years ago. I journal a lot.
Yeah.
I've wrote a lot, and I would just do little Facebook posts like poems. It's a source of healing for me to write
Yeah.
out. And so God gave me the title long ago. It's in a lot of my journals, Solo and Saved. And I knew that's what I wanted it to be. I just didn't know, like, I always said, someone would say, what do you want to do? I'd like to write a book one day. And I didn't know how, I didn't know when.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always, like, again, like working on how to improve myself. And so I reached out to a mentor he was my mentor a couple of years ago. And I said, I'm feeling stuck. And I just wanted him to, like, like reset me, like give me a little jolt of lightning. And he said, well, you need
Mm-hmm.
to sign up for my wife's 31-day challenge group.
Mm.
Okay. So I signed up for it, and it was March, this past March. And she had written a book, and it's called the 31-day challenge for women. And so you go in and you get in this group, and you're only in the group for 1 month. And then you join and meet women all over the world via Zoom every
Oh,
Wednesday.
cool.
So the first session we meet, and the way she sets out uh, her guidelines is that you read every day, every 31, all of the 31 days you're reading a chapter. They're short, simple, but they're very effective. And our first Zoom, we had read like a couple of chapters, and then we're on the Zoom, and she asked everyone, what is your goal? And she came to me and she's like, what is your goal? And I said, well, I'd like to write a book. And she said, okay, well, at the end of 31 days, we'll have your book written. And I
Mm.
was,
You're like, what?
what? Wait, how? And she is very adamant about accountability. And so she created groups within our our 31-day challenge. We were called accountability partners, and that's where the magic was. And so I just started writing my book. She said, okay, when will you have what will you do? What are you going to do first? I said, I'm going to write my outline of my book, and then I'm going to do chapter 1. And she said, okay, when will that be done? I said, Sunday. She said, okay. And through her accountability, I was able to write my book, and it just all flowed. I know that God knew that I was ready. He'd never let me begin before I was ready, even though I
Right.
had desire. So I just wrote out my book, and the phases that I went through of owning it, how to walk on, how to set goals for myself, how to be sure that I had the right people in my life. And it's all about faith. I
Mm.
have an amazing journey of faith, and how God grows your faith. The more you trust Him, your level
Mm.
rises.
Right. Right. Oh, that sounds great. So can you tell me like maybe the names of the chapters or,
Yeah.
something a little bit more to get us? I'd love to hear more.
So I started my journey. Have you ever seen the movie The War Room?
Yes, love that movie so much. My kids love it too.
Yeah. And that is just like the relationship that I want, and
Mm,
the godly relationship that I want with
yes.
my partner. I did not have that. But when I watched
Mm,
it, I created a war room for me.
I love it.
And that's how I was able to step out and become solo.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next chapter is called Own It.
Mm,
You don't, sometimes when you're solo, you're like, this is not what I asked for. I
yep.
had kept praying and asking for, have a solid, happy marriage, happily ever after. I wasn't getting that. But in order to get my happily ever after, I had to own it and walk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Grace and blessing to accept God's grace, because He gives us so much grace.
Yeah.
And you accept your grace, and His grace toward you, you are just blessed more and more. And so God just continued to show me the path of being solo. And sometimes I didn't recognize it until I was in the moment.
Mm,
Gratitude, I keep a gratitude journal.
yes,
The
so good.
more that you can thank God for, the more He gives you. And I think it's just recognizing it's all around us. We just
Yeah.
don't have time to say,
Mm-hmm.
I am blessed with sunshine. I'm blessed with electricity. I'm blessed with
Right.
water. I'm blessed with my mother, my father. I'm blessed with my children. I'm blessed for this podcast. It's being very intentional and discerning about the little things and the big
Right.
things.
That's right.
Chapter 5 is about keep your faith. No matter what happens, you have to go back to your faith.
Mm,
And I share that during dating. And I just reflected on this about 6 months ago. I wasn't looking for a man. I was looking for peace, but I was also like so curious, like, where is that relationship for me? When will I get that relationship? And it hasn't happened because I was looking, and I have grown a lot as a person. I've grown a lot as a Christian. I've grown a lot with my faith, but I was also not letting God take the reins of a relationship for me. I was choosing to
mm-hmm.
let Him choose.
So good. So good.
Chapter 6 is about setting goals and accomplishing them, and you have to hold yourself accountable. Set little goals. It could be something that you just want to clean out your closet
Yeah.
and get that done, and then celebrate, like, look at me go, I cleaned out my closet.
Uh-huh. That's huge.
Yes. Um, Chapter 7 is about nothing changes if nothing changes. This is one of my favorite quotes that I learned a long
Mm,
time ago. And you can stay stuck because nothing changes. I do believe that God created us not to be stagnant. He has a plan for us. And if we can trust His plan with our full heart and our full faith, He has something so amazing for us. It may take a little time to get there. And I look
yeah.
at it like, I'm sitting here today with you as this woman. Years ago, I was that woman, and I've grown and I've walked and I've come to be the lady I am today. But let me tell you, I'm so excited to meet the woman I'm becoming.
Yes. Just a second. Your picture went away. Like I can't see you anymore. Oh,
Oh,
you're back. Okay. We'll just keep talking. I can cut that out. I love that who you're becoming today. And it's true. Every experience, everything we've been through, even all the unpleasant stuff, like brings us to who we are today and part of God's calling on our life. Like my life took a drastic turn after Luke died. I was a teacher and I am still a teacher, but in a much different way. I started a nonprofit for widows, started a podcast, started just pouring into widows, writing a widow's book. That would have never happened, if I hadn't been through what I've been through. And your book wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been through what you've been through. And it's like, there's so much stuff in the world that God doesn't cause it, but he allows it and he makes something beautiful out of it. And I see you doing that with what you've been through. And I love it. Are there more chapters? Did I interrupt, or was that?
The last chapter is called Walk On.
Ooh, that's great. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
But I agree with you. Sometimes people ask, would you change anything? And because I did go through a lot, just like you've gone through a lot. And maybe I stayed longer than I should have, but would I change anything? And for me, the answer is no. I wouldn't be here right now on this day if I had changed anything, because I wouldn't be the woman who I am. If you would have told me 8 years ago, hey, you're going to write a book in 2025 and you're going to be on a podcast, I would have looked at you. What are you talking about? Like, so I'm so proud of myself, and be proud of yourself for
Yes.
coming so far. And the only person that knows truly how far you have come is yourself. And I have a good relationship with myself, but I have an amazing relationship with God that I continue to build. And that is what I'm doing in this season of solo, that I'm not dating. I'm not, that's not an interest to me. But I also think he took that desire away.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he's, you and I, it's me and you, girl. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
take on the world, and we're going to grow you. And also all these opportunities, I literally think I'm a teacher. I'm an education
Okay.
principal.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so, and I want to go further in
Yeah.
my career, superintendent one day. And like, I'm so busy doing all the things that God has planned for me. I don't have time for
Right.
just any person in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Any not going, it just can't be any man. It has to be the man that God has for me.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So did you say you're a principal?
I am.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a very hard job. I know, as being a teacher, how much pressure is on principals. And one of my good friends was a principal, and I'm like, wow, you do a lot. It's a lot, but that's amazing. How long have you been doing that?
I've been in education for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So I love education. It is my calling too. Children,
Yeah.
my one liner about education in general is like, children are a gift.
Yes, they are.
And I do my job for the children.
Yes, I loved my favorite. Well, there's so many different ages, but I taught kindergarten mostly and loved it. I mean, the beginning of the year is hard. They're like little babies, but they're so sweet, crying and all that stuff. But just to watch, I think for me, all the grades I taught kindergarten, I saw the most growth, like academically, just from not really some of them knowing some letters to reading, and just like that's amazing to watch. Did you have a favorite grade that you taught?
I have taught kindergarten,
Okay.
first grade, and third grade. And then I've been an instructional coach for all grade levels. I've been a principal at elementary and middle school.
Oh,
So just,
wow.
yes. To have a favorite, I do tend to sway toward the littles,
Me
because
too.
they love you. And I write about that in my book, because
Mm,
when I became solo, I was alone. My children
yeah.
were grown. I had not ever been,
Okay.
and God put me back in a classroom, because I was initially staying at home and I was working from
Yeah.
home. God put me back in a classroom, and those children loved me back to life. I was so broken and
Mm,
so sad, and the children loved me back to life.
yeah, they are such a gift. I was a kindergarten teacher when Luke, my first husband, got sick the first time. And it just was so, I missed a lot of work because I was in the hospital with him. But when I would come back, I mean, it was just all worth it. They were just the
Yeah.
sweetest thing. And they didn't really understand. They just knew my husband was sick, and would make cards, and just amazing. I haven't been in the classroom in 2 years. No, almost 3. My last job was a long-term third grade. right before I got married to Joel, and I really enjoyed it. But it was actually when I knew this is no longer my calling. My calling is full-time widow ministry. It just wasn't, I mean, I loved it. And all of the kids were at my wedding. I was able to invite all of them. And so that was super amazing. We have all these pictures with all my third graders, and they just had a blast, and it was so much fun. And I absolutely loved it. But it was for me when I knew, because I went back a few times after Luke died, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, this isn't, I'll do this, it's like 3 months, this job. And then I am going to just do widow stuff. And it's interesting, like where God takes us. And last week I did my first, for a senior center, which weird, seniors are 50 and above here. I was like, oh, I'm almost there. But the people who came were older than that. But I did a grief group, my first one, and I was like, this is me teaching. I'm just doing it different. Like I'm used to little kids, and now it's like seniors, and it's interesting. But it's the same skills, that you use. I did the lesson plan, all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's just fascinating where God takes us. And I love that you are still, in your administration, being a principal. And then you've also got this other new ministry that you've started, and where do you see this taking? Do you like to speak? Like, what else do you want to do with your book?
Yes, and I love that you just shared that with me because it, again, I have a plan that I think I should follow, and then this new ministry shows up so brand new. It's like, it's so brand new. It's a little baby. And where will it grow into? And so, yes, I want to speak, and I've looked at offering just classes and about general growth, like for women to become the best version of themselves and to continue growing. God didn't make us to be stagnant. And so let's not stay stuck in our patterns. Let's be reflective and grow into who we're meant to be.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's about continual growth our whole lives. Like,
Right.
I don't care how old I am. I want to be learning and growing, and, you know.
But as a teacher, I think you will understand this. So I love to help people. I
Mm-hmm.
love to hear the connections. And if I make a post on social media, or if I did 2 book signings, and the people that came and talked to me like, your book, I love this part in your book that you wrote about. I'm like,
Isn't
really?
that
Like,
amazing?
it is an amazing, rewarding feeling that only that God could give me through this book.
Right? It's
So
crazy. Wait till you start having it. Maybe you've had it before. I have at least 4 groups that I know of using my book as a book club. So when you start hearing, they're like, and yours would be a good book club too, for those who are solo and saved. Like when you start hearing that, like, hey, I'm going to do, a book club on your book, like what? And I popped into one of their Zooms and surprised them. I mean, the leader knew I was coming. She gave me the information. But that was fun to surprise them. I'm like, hey, don't talk any different because I'm here. Like, this is great for me to hear what people are saying about it. But it's just the
yes,
craziest feeling. And then I get the same thing with like the podcast now being like, I think we're in like 120 countries, and like people all over the world email me, and just it's so nuts. And it's just like, okay, God, this is all you. Like, I didn't do this. Like,
no.
you
That's
know,
the first one of the first lines I write in my book. I write the story, God gets the glory.
it's so good. It's true. Like, not, we wouldn't be where we are without him and without the story he's given us. So when you were going through like your darkest season, were there any verses or songs, or like what helped you through that time?
I would say a lot of songs, and I
Yeah.
do have songs. I use those songs to just remind myself, and I sing
Mhm.
them loud. I did spend a lot of time healing alone, and I allowed myself to cry. I allowed
Yes.
myself to grieve
Yes.
and miss what I missed because it was my feelings, and my feelings are valid, whatever your feelings are, because not everyone will agree with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Whatever you feel, that's valid. They're your feelings, and no one else is inside of your body, your heart, your mind, your soul, and so those feelings are valid.
That's right.
um So yes, I had scripture. The first, when I went into the war room to create my war room, the very first Bible verse that God gave me. And again, I've been in my Bible my whole life, but these verses I never had heard of. I've never
Mm.
read. And then when I read them, certain words would stand out. So the very first verse was 1 Peter 5:10. You will suffer for a while, and then God will make you strong, steady, complete, and firm.
It's really good.
And I would put these on sticky notes and stick them in my closet. And then when I moved, every time I've moved, I've taken those original sticky notes with me and I make a wall, and it's
Mm,
war room wall.
I love that. That's awesome.
The songs, my favorite song right now is called To Know Me by
Mm,
Lauren Daigle.
I love Lauren Daigle. She's so good.
And it just reflects on me about when I hear God in all the ways, from a sunset to a train going by, and just being present with Him
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship. It's so important to give your time to God in a valuable way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. And also a huge applause to you for getting your book done, because I hear over and over, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book. And then people, I think it's not that they don't want to, they just don't know where to start.
They don't.
And so they just
I
kind of say that forever.
and you have to take action, and then you have to
Mhm.
follow through, and it is completely up to you. And I do think it's important to I am also going to tell you this other song.
Oh, yeah.
It's I Can Do Hard Things,
Mm,
Jennifer Nettle.
mm,
She's from Sugarland country music. But that song, I can do hard things, because what we're going through as a solo person, you have to do hard things. You're doing things by yourself a lot.
mm-hmm.
And it's empowering, it's liberating, and then at times it's so lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Learning to fix things. Yeah.
yeah,
All the
because
supposed like man things. Guess what? We can do them.
we can do them.
I
And
learned a lot of that.
yes, and you don't even know that's within you until you are faced with it and you have to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's so good. Okay, so going back to your book again. So you started because of this 31-day challenge. I mean, you already had the idea, but that helped you. So what I'm hearing you say is that having accountability and a deadline helped you to
Yes,
get it done. Is that right?
yes,
And so
correct.
then after she had asked you when you're going to do your first chapter, you did that. Then did you have continued accountability to get it done?
Until the 31 days.
Yeah.
And
And you're working full time as a principal and still getting it done.
yeah, and I look back on that, I'm like, how did I even do that? Like I don't know how I did that. And then it's all God. God
Yeah.
gave me time. He gave me the energy. And when I would be typing and writing, it was him flowing through me. I will go back and reread my book and I cry
Mm-hmm.
because I don't remember writing that, but I wrote it.
Yeah.
But God, I'm the vessel for
Right.
God.
Yes. That's how I feel too when I go back and read my book. Like, did I write that? Like, no, that was
That's
totally God. Totally
really,
God. How,
and like I said, I cry every time I read my own book.
yeah. And when was it published?
And July 2025.
Okay, so pretty new. Mine was May of 2025. So
Ah,
it's exciting and fun and all the things when you have a brand new, it's like a new baby. But it's also like, oh, like what are people gonna say? Like I hated the other day I got my first 3 stars. So it was all 5 stars, like 50 some 5 stars. And some person who didn't write anything just gave it a 3 star, no reason. And I was like, I'm 4.9 now. But I went to this writing retreat last summer and they're like, you're not a real author till you get a 1 star review. So
oh,
that's the
I,
part that's hard.
I love hearing you talk about your writing journey, and how it called you to something different, like than education. Because I am at a crossroad of like, do I put more time and energy in the book, or do I continue? I have goals that I write in my book, and I'll tell you my top 5 goals.
Yeah.
God, then me, my children, my family, my career. And my career comes last.
Yeah.
But career, I have principal, and then I do a fifth day school director, and then I own a building. I'm an entrepreneur,
Nice.
and then book. And now my book is like this little flower that's blooming, and like
Uh-huh.
now I have podcasts, and now I want to do a class for women. And
Yeah.
so our plate is only so big
Yeah.
until something can't be as effective.
Mm-hmm.
And does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, kind of like I knew when I was done with teaching, like you'll know if you're supposed to have a pivot or do less of this one and more of this one. And I think it's all part of this journey that all of us that are widowed go through too, of like, who am I now? Figuring out my life. Like, how can God make something good from this? How can there be purpose from my pain? Because no pain is wasted. God can use it all. And my whole point was like, if I had to go through this, I'm going to help other people. Like, I want to provide what I needed. And I didn't find a lot of. And, do that. And that's what you're doing as well is, in this whole Solo and Saved, which is the most beautiful name. Like, that literally is the first thing that stuck out when I saw your profile. I was like, yeah, I'm having her. Like, that book sounds amazing. And it just is something that's needed because it is a hard journey. I've been through the dating journey again, and I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people end up getting married. I know lots of widows who have remarried, tons that are listeners. Actually, one today is her wedding day. Congratulations. So that's Janice. There are, people who've been through all different kinds of things, but I think it can be a really lonely, hard journey, especially when everyone around you is married. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
hard, right?
Yes. I'm in a small town, like we were talking, and it is. There's not many solo people, and all of our friends were married, and then I'm not married, and yeah, it is. And I do have hope, like when just you talking that you're remarried, like I have hope. It's just me being patient
Yeah.
and being prepared for because I only want it to be the man from God. And I wrote out, like I said, I know what kind of relationship I want. I
Yep.
want the movie, and I want a, not only a praying man, but a man who's leading
Mm-hmm.
toward God. And I've never had that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing. Like Joel. So I made a list when I was started dating again. And he was literally everything on the list except for he doesn't like dancing, which was on my list, but I can let that one go. He'll do it for me, but he doesn't like it. And it was just amazing. Like down to, I was like, it'd be cool if he had an accent. And he grew up in Brazil and then he lived in Louisiana. So he has this like Brazilian Southern accent. I mean, just like literally everything I told God that I wanted, and definitely like a godly man. And like, I wouldn't be able to do what I do today. I wouldn't be doing this podcast anymore. I wouldn't be doing my nonprofit, like all this stuff, because I would financially have to have a full time job. Like, newsflash, like I don't make money from podcasts and most of the things I do. So God, that was totally orchestrated by God for his kingdom, like to further his kingdom, because I could not do what I'm doing today and lead a retreat and write the book and all of that. And so, God knows what he's doing. And so I feel like if God has it for you and for the listeners to find someone, he's going to bring it. It's like usually when you stop looking, like that's what I've seen from my widowed friends. Like Joel came out of nowhere. We weren't even Facebook friends. It just came out and it was like someone you may know. And I was like, oh, doesn't say he's married. Okay. And then I clicked on his profile and then we started talking and it was a whole journey of a couple years, but then we got married and it was like, I've heard so many stories that it's just like this beautiful thing. And I remember after like I had a really hard thing happen, I was crying, like being back in the dating world. I'm talking to my best friend and I was like, where am I going to find somebody of my age? And she was like, let God write your love story. And he did.
Aw.
And I've seen it so many times that God has written her love story. So I feel like, yeah, what you're saying is just working on yourself, like all the things that are in your book. And then when it's the right time, God will bring that person who who doesn't detract from you, but who makes you a better person. Like I am a way better person because of Joel, because of the way he can help with what I'm doing, the way he wants to hear everything I'm doing, and every widow, and like just like wants to be so involved. I've had people ask me like, how does your husband like it that you do stuff like for widows and talk about your late spouse? I'm like, yeah, he knows what good I'm doing. Like he's never threatened, he's never jealous. Like we have pictures of Luke in our house. We talk about Luke. Like he is totally good with that. And I think that's, what you want is a man who understands where you come from and isn't threatened by that in any way and supports you in whatever God has called you to. So let's say you may meet someone in the future and you can still work in the solo world even if you're married again. I still work in the widow world even though I'm married again. And so maybe this is a lifelong calling, and just because you, like, let's say you get married again, you can still stay in this lane and still help people because, well, I don't get questioned very often, but when I do, I'm like, yeah, but I went through it. It's part of who I am. So I can show you what I've learned. Same with you. And so I just think it's cool, like our callings and how God puts this all together in a way that we could never imagine. Like I have a whole different, world that I was in before Luke died. And I'd always been an entrepreneur too, and like lots of businesses, doing all these businesses and earning cars and trips and all the things. And like I never knew like how this entrepreneurial spirit and my teaching spirit was going to line up with grief. And like it's just cool what only God could do it, like blend all these things together. And I see that for you as well. That this is going to be an amazing ministry that we actually really need a lot. I could see this, for men and women, like who are in this phase of life, and there might not be a lot of support and a lot of, in this hookup culture and like stupid, like the dating apps with all this. Ugh, I went through some weird dates before all this.
Right.
There's so many out there. You're like, is this real?
It's real and it's not attractive. And so
No.
that's like, I just soon stay home and just
Right.
do my things that bring me peace. And then, God, whenever you're ready, you can just take action. Everything that you've said on here and to me is something I needed to hear, and you didn't even know that.
Oh,
I needed to hear this, and you give me hope, so much hope, and so much just, I know it's going to be okay. And one day God will deliver a partner to me that is just exactly what I
yep.
need, and everything will be defined, and it'll all just fall into place. And I will share this little story with you.
Yes.
I went to this past week, I've been going to a superintendent academy. That's what I wanted to be.
Oh.
I want to be a superintendent. I want to. God, do you want me to? In this room of superintendents, and they're teaching us how to fill out our resume. They're teaching us how to interview. And then they use this word, and it was so ironic. They said, okay, well, the superintendent, this is how we, the analogy is when you go to interview for a superintendent position, just understand that the school board is going to interview you. The school
Mm-hmm.
board hires. So it is going to be like a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my goodness. Like, I haven't thought about getting
Yeah.
remarried. I don't want to marry 7 people,
Right.
And then I looked around the room and we had all introduced ourselves. I am the only person in the room that's solo. Everyone else in there is married.
Mm-hmm.
And that's resonating with me.
Yeah.
Some marriage and being solo and not being married. I'm like, I'm in it, and I want to say I'm doing well. And I also want other women and men to know that you can be successful solo. You
Yes.
can be strong solo. You can be happy solo,
Yeah. That's so
and
true.
just settle. I'm not going to settle.
That's huge. I've seen it too many times. People settle for someone that's, they're okay. I'm like, no, you need to be like adored. Like, I feel like Joel adores me. Like there's a difference between being loved and being adored, and I feel adored. And that's what every person deserves, to be adored by their spouse and to have someone that is going to further them in their ministry and all of in God's work, like someone that's going to help you in God's work, whatever that is, and I'm so glad that my words are helping you. I've just seen it firsthand with meeting Joel and getting married again. And, it's not without complication when you're blending families and all the things. And I understand from him. So I personally cannot understand where you've come from, but from observing my husband who was divorced, I know it's different from widowed, but a lot of grief, because what he tells me he grieves is his whole family being together. I know you get that. I haven't even, you said something about kids. Like, so tell me how many kids you have and all that.
I have children. I have a son, he's 32, and I have a
Okay.
daughter who's 6. And so my
Okay.
children are, but I was always, I love being a mom the most. I
Yeah.
love being the most. I love the family the most. And that family unit is just no longer there.
Right.
It's something that you had to let go of. And I miss it terribly.
Right. Yeah. That's a massive, massive grief. And you go through the same, like, grief. I mean, they're different kinds of grief. All grief's different. We don't compare them, but grief is grief. And it's like the change of any pattern in your life, the loss of anything in your life. And so it can come up at different times. And you can just be like, man, I miss that. Like, I've been going through this thing. So I only have one at home. Two are older. So they're 17, 19, 21. And I get a little sad when I see just like moms with their little kids. And I'm like,
No,
oh, that's not my life anymore. You get that, I'm sure. Like, oh, I miss that. And you want to be one of those people. Like, I remember people being like, it goes so fast. And you're like, no, this is horrible. I had 1, 3, and 5-year-old, just like, whoa. But now I feel like me and my friends did that to somebody one day. And we're like, just enjoy it. It goes fast. I'm like, we're those people now.
yes, yes.
We're the ones who our kids are grown or almost grown, and now we're looking at the little baby. So there is a piece of grief I feel with that, just with my kids growing up. Grief is like anything like that's changed. And then I definitely have grief when I see whole families together. That is definitely something that's hard. The thing is about grief, and we've talked about this a million times on my show, is like you have to feel it. For what we feel, God can heal. That's like the saying that I always say. My grief counselor taught me, what we heal, we can heal. No, what we feel, we can heal. And I said that for like a year until I felt like God was like, no, no, no. What we feel, I can heal. So say what we feel, God can heal. And so I changed it to that.
Love
Because,
that.
if we don't, God is there to like heal our hearts and work on it. But if we don't ever let ourselves feel it, he can't do that. He can't heal what you're not feeling. And so that's why I always tell people, it doesn't matter where you're at, grocery store, driving, anywhere, like let yourself cry. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Let yourself, it doesn't. And I think the older you get, that you're like, I don't even care. Right. And
Right.
so it's like, let yourself feel it, because otherwise you'll stay stuck. I have met people who are stuck in their grief because they never let themselves feel it. They're trying to just be strong, which be strong for others is a grief myth as well, that you need to do that. You actually need to feel it. And people say things thinking they're helping and they're not. And anyways, that's a whole other topic I've done on my podcast about grief myths. That's what I taught on last week at my grief class. Like all these myths, one of the biggest ones is that time heals all wounds. It's not time, it's what you do with the time. So I actually said this to my grief group last week. I was like, okay, if you go out to your car right now after this group and you have a flat tire and then you say, it's okay, I'll just wait a year and maybe it'll be filled up. It's not going to be. It's still going to be flat in a year. And it's the same thing with our grief. If we don't deal with it, if we're not getting counseling and reading grief books and going through all the stuff of actually feeling it, it's going to be that way in another year. We're still going to be in the same place. And so that's why I always encourage people to feel it, because that pain is still going to be there. Anyways, I can go on and on about grief, but it's something I became a grief recovery method specialist. It's like a training I went through, and I learned so much about grief, that there really isn't a lot of education about grief. And I ran groups, and the two biggest griefs were death and divorce, that people were there for, because those are things that affect everybody, but there's lots of kinds of grief. Like there's even grief at the end of a school year, right? You can feel sad because things are changing. I would always cry. I'd be like happy in some ways, but then you're like, I'll never have these kids again. You know what I'm saying? It's a change in your pattern of life. And so you can feel grief. And so I've tried to explain that to my kids when they're like, "Oh, why am I feeling sad about this?" Well, it's a change. Something's different. And it's grief. So let yourself feel it. So anyways,
I,
I oh go ahead.
I agree with you. And I had to learn that maybe the hard way, but I learned to, I went through counseling, but I also have myself to sit in the
Good.
sadness. Even my children being older, and I've kind of hinted around like, are we having grandchildren anytime soon? I love
Yeah.
children, and they're not, and so a lot of my friends my age, they already have grandchildren, and
Mm,
again, my life just doesn't mirror some of the friends that I have, and that's okay.
yeah.
Um, happy, and I'm happy. It's just one day and I don't know, I may not. I know that God calls people to be single. I did watch, and you correct me if I'm saying this wrong, a new movie that's on Netflix, Ruth and Boaz.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it is so good. And it gave me hope. And it was so, I knew the story, but it goes
Right.
deeper story, and it really brings out the details, and
Mm,
it's so good. I do
oh,
recommend watch
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Anyone that I would watch it again, and I
Yeah.
would take the first time I just watched it to for entertainment, and then I'm like,
Hmm.
I want to take the notes because Naomi is in the story too.
Right.
All this spiritual, biblical guidance.
Hmm. So
So
good.
good.
Oh, thank you. I think we should all definitely watch that. I mean, read the story, but I'd love to watch a Netflix on it.
Yeah,
So
it
that
is.
sounds awesome. Well, maybe one more question. What advice would you give to someone newly single?
I would say embrace it.
Mm.
It won't. It's like everything else. It won't last forever. And
Yeah.
I've been for 8 years
Hmm.
um, on dates, and I dated someone for a longer time period, and then there were things that it just wasn't going to work.
Right.
Um, and then that was a bit of like, that's disappointing because that's your time you're investing. But just
Yeah.
embrace, because you may not be single for long, and there's a lot of good qualities in being single. Like, well, I get to take care of me, so I spoil myself. I have massages once a month.
Hmm.
I get my hair done.
Yep.
I going to get a pedicure and manicure after this podcast. So just there's no one to answer to, and
Hmm.
we miss our partner, and when we don't have a partner, you're like, man. But there are really good qualities in being solo, and just remember, someone's always watching you.
Hmm. It's true.
See what they don't maybe not understand it to the depth, but they see what you're doing and that you're doing it alone. But if you can tell them God's taking me through this,
Yeah. That's right.
and you're working and being a solo person for the glory of God's kingdom.
That's right. So good. Thank you. Great advice. Well, is it okay if I pray for you?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Dear God, thank you so much for Lalonna. Thank you for the gift of technology connecting us today. And I just pray over her solo and single book, God, that it will do abundantly more than all she asks or imagine. I pray for this new ministry that she's launching, that you'll just give her amazing opportunity to speak into men and women's life about, being content in you and finding their peace and their joy and their happiness in you. Just pray that as she figures out whether she wants to do the superintendent and or continue this ministry, or maybe both, that you'll just give her clarity. I pray that if it's your will for her to find another partner, that you'll bring him in the right time and the right place, and that she'll continue to be content in her singleness. And we just pray for every single listener, God, that you continue to heal their broken hearts. I just pray that they find joy today, wherever that is. It might be a friend that sends them a text, or funny things their kids do, or just however you want to bring them joy. I just pray that you do that today and just bless them and continue to heal them. And we just thank you for all you've done. Amen. All
And
right. Well, if you like this podcast, give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. Again, we still have openings for the retreat. Oh, Lalonna, please tell us where we can find your books. We'll put the links too, but tell us like where people can find you, your links, all the things.
Yes, so my book is on Amazon.
Awesome.
You'll just type in Solo and Saved. It is a Kindle, paperback, hardback. And then I'm on social media for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it's all Lalonna West, just one
Oh,
name.
perfect. Okay, awesome. We'll also have direct links, and I'm definitely going to get your book. I'm excited to read it and refer people to it. And yeah, I think that's all we have. Audience, if you would like to join our Facebook page, Widowed Too Soon Community, please do that. I think I've done all the announcements. So we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Lalonna.
Thank you,
All right,
Michelle.
thanks. Bye.